Welcome, welcome, welcome. It's another Wednesday night. We're in December now. We made it past Thanksgiving, and now we're all looking forward to, obviously, Christmas, specifically if you're in the Bored Ape Yacht Club, as the little teaser on Thanksgiving. What's in the box? And so we all sit here and wonder, what could it be? But tonight it's all about ape staking. We brought on a good friend, massive person in the Bored Ape and Yuga ecosystem, Gerry. So again, thanks, Gerry, for coming on. Can you give a little intro? I'm sure people know who you are, but just in case it's the first time they've ever heard about you or of you, why don't you give a little intro about how you got into Bored Ape Yacht Club and maybe crypto in general?
Sure. Yeah, thanks for having me. So that's a long story, but my wife got me into to crypto. It was March 2020, February 2020, and we saw what was going on with the markets, and ETH was at about $130, and I was going to go buy. I wanted to buy gold. I wanted to buy hard assets, and my wife had been reading The Infinite Machine, and we decided to buy a little bit of crypto. So naturally, we bought Dogecoin, and a little bit of Ethereum, and some ETH Classic, and probably a few other things that didn't make any sense at all. Like I'm pretty sure we bought some BSV and Bitcoin Cash and a few things like that along the way, but. It kind of evolved into DeFi and playing around with that, and just exploring different, the whole idea was we wanted to be ETH stakers. So we ended up just taking all of our Ethereum and dumping it into the staking contract, going to ETH2. And, so that's where most of our ETH still is. We were down to about 3 ETH, and we were ignoring NFTs altogether. And we had a little bit of Bitcoin, and then a guy named Dad Judicator. I met him in the Vogu Discord, and he had an ape. I started learning about the apes a little bit, and they were at about 7 ETH, maybe 6.9 ETH. Actually, they were at 6.9 because I remember whining about how expensive they were for about a week. And then after whining for a while, my wife finally told me, she's like, "You're just going to get one this weekend." And I was like, "You sure?" And she's like, "Yeah, you're getting one this weekend." So I talked to some people. I talked to I think, let's see, Nylock, who told me just go put a bunch of WETH offers in. And I put a bunch of 7.5 WETH offers in, and I ended up getting an ape that a lot of people came to know me by, with the blindfold boho app, merch ape. And I started making, I just started trying to fit in. I loved the club. As soon as we jumped in the Discord, it was just a whole new world. I absolutely fell in love with the club. My first act in the club, this was just when the OG hoodie dropped. And my first act in the club was somebody was like, "Does anybody have any information on the sizes and all that?" And I was just like, I don't know. I was trying to make myself useful. And I spent about 5 minutes, did a couple searches, and next thing you know, I had the actual images of all the shirts and the prices and everything, and I dropped it into general chat. And this was like my second day in there, and the next thing you know, I got a message from Garga, and I got a message from Tropo, both asking, "Where'd you get that?" And I had no idea who Garga was, and I was like, I don't know, it was on their site, and I literally said their site to Garga, and just had no idea whatsoever. And they didn't talk to me after that. That was my thing. I was leaking alpha minutes before the drop. They thought that maybe they had been hacked or something, and I was like, no, I was just trying to be helpful. I thought I did something wrong. But I started making banners for people when Bored Ape Comic bought their ape, and I started putting the when Bored Ape Comic got Arizona Iced Tea to buy their ape, and I started putting that little the cherry blossom behind people's PFPs, and I did like 400 of those pretty quickly. I hadn't played with Photoshop in a couple of years, actually, and the next thing you know, I did a few hundred of those, and then somebody asked me if I could do a banner, and I'm like, yeah, sure, why not? I mean, give me the dimensions, I guess. And then I kind of made a couple banners. I still didn't know anything. I was putting trippies behind, floor apes, and I just had no idea. Like, it was just it was kind of cool. You can look at some of my original banners and be like, wow, he didn't know what was going on. And the rest is kind of history. The next thing you know, I made like 1,500 banners, and just found my place in the club, and that's kind of how it all started. I haven't left. I feel like my ass has been in the seat the entire time, just trying to help this club as best I can, and using the skills that I had to help. And anytime anybody ever just asked for anything, I tried to figure out a way to help.
That's funny, to be honest, because it feels like you've been in literally from the very beginning, just because you've made such a like big impact, and that's flowers to you for just being a helpful resource, really, honestly, because like I could have sworn you were there the whole time just because you've been such like impactful person. So that's super dope. Love the story for sure. And obviously, maybe not obvious, but you've been one of these people that have made maybe a lot of folks worried about staking a little bit more calm, or potentially answered some questions for them. And I know Will and Bryce as well did a really good job with writing up a thread that they've continued to add to. And so I think that's what's important, is a community that kind of comes together and creates information to make things a little bit easier. Because a lot of this is very new for people, probably the first time. And if they want to interact with the contract directly, that can be potentially intimidating if it's something you've never done before. So Will, I'm going to turn it over to you and Bryce and Gerry, and just go ahead, and I don't know where we want to dive in. Maybe just talk about what is staking to start, and what are the different pools that are available, and then I think just go from there.
Oh goodness, you want me to start that off?
Yeah, well, start running it.
I don't know. I think Gerry has more experience, honestly, in probably DeFi staking and that kind of background. I'm just an idiot that made a guide for dummies by a dummy kind of thing. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I remember kind of like when the initial drop about the geo blocking came out, there was just mass chaos. And then Gerry, you kind of came to the rescue, it seemed, being the voice of reason and definitely calming everyone. I mean, how many spaces did you hop through? Because I felt like I heard you across a couple of different places, and then it was just like, as soon as you came on, it just like settled everyone down and like made people not freak out about it. But yeah, I mean,
that was the idea. I mean, I saw people hurting, to be honest with you. I don't do spaces. I sit in Discord. So what I left out about that story was I sat in the BASE chat for months, just sitting there. Just all these banners that I made were live streamed. So I just I'm not really a spaces guy. I didn't really get into spaces too much. I've sat in the Surreal Discord and the BASE Discord voice chat, just hanging out with friends and just meeting new people, and they've kept me company, and they've just grown to be like a family. But I've probably only been in like 3 spaces or 4 spaces before that. Jen, my wife, is usually in spaces on a daily basis. While I'm making banners, she'll just sit over there just listening. And I tell you what, I just saw people freaking out, and I felt like they were hurting and scared and confused and didn't really know exactly what was going on. And I saw the geo-blocking at the bottom, not number 1, not number 2, not number 3. I saw it at the bottom, and then I started seeing people, saying that it was hidden, and I'm like, no, okay, it leads up to number 4. It's all about number 4. Everything was about the geo-blocking, but it was also about that announcement was about making people feel a little better with 1 through 3. Like, hey, anybody can stake. Ethereum is, the EVM, the Ethereum virtual machine, is available to anybody who has the internet, and you don't have to worry about being geo-blocked. And I was just really scared because people were like, it's illegal, and all these different rumors started spreading around and these assumptions. And I just started jumping in like all of them, man. I mean, I just went hopping around. I jumped in one, and as soon as I jumped in, I was welcomed, and I was just like, hey, I asked to be a speaker, and they let me up there, and I was like, do you mind if I just share a little bit? And I did, and they everybody seemed to feel a little better. And once I was done, I just found another spaces, and yeah, man, I probably did about 12 the first couple days, and then people started tagging me and just saying, hey, like I started getting DMs, and it was like, hey, would you mind just jumping in here and kind of putting some minds at ease because they're freaking out? And I'm like, absolutely. So I just started doing that for like a week, and put everything else on hold. And
yeah, no banners, please.
I've managed to do like 3 banners. I've done like 3 banners. I feel like banners they're definitely on the back burner. There's some people who are actually, everybody's pretty understanding right now, but they're all on the back burner. I was cutting out lands every single day because that's what I'm doing. I'm doing land banners now, and I was cutting them out with the pen tool every day. I've got about 75 left. I'm halfway, and I haven't done one in about a week. All I've been focusing on is learning this contract, trying to just educate myself as best I can on this particular contract, so that we can just make sure everybody's doing it right. But to answer the question, like what is staking? In terms for us, staking is the act of depositing your APE coin into the staking contract via one of your NFTs or just the APE coin pool only. So you've got 4 pools. You've got the zero pool, which is the APE coin only pool, where you can just deposit APE coin into this pool. Anybody who has APE coin can deposit it and earn on that. The earnings, I mean, it's a finite amount of APE coin that has been set aside for each period, and that amount of APE coin is evenly distributed amongst all of the APE coin that is currently staked in that pool, and the other pools. So the other pools, you have the BAYC pool, where you need to have a BAYC, and you can stake 10,094 APE coin into the staking into the BAYC pool through each one of your BAYC NFTs, and then you can do the same thing with your MAYC. It's 2042, and then your doggo you can pair with one ape, and whether it's a mutant ape or a bored ape, and you can stake another 856 with your doggo. So the earnings are going to be, like I said, they're a finite amount that people are going to get. They've set aside a certain amount of Horizon has set aside, and we've voted on this through the ApeCoin DAO. A certain amount of APE coin in each period for each pool, and it slowly goes down. And at the beginning of every year, it kind of goes up a little bit, and then it goes back down for the year. So we've got a little bit of a curve, but that's pretty much it. So we're hoping that the rates are pretty good. But honestly, even if 100% of people stake, we're going to have pretty good rates. And I think that when people see that, I'm hopeful that we'll have a little bit of FOMO, but there are other people who think that we're just going to fall through the floor.
Yeah, we're going to nuke to zero for sure.
Dude, that's the hot take right now. I feel like everyone's just like max short on APE, and I don't want to speak too soon, but I feel like some people are going to get wrecked that way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I wouldn't short when we're going into, especially like when I feel like we're down low. Who knows? I don't want to speculate on the price too much, but myself, I will be max staking. My wife will be max staking. We did not sell the top. It's been a tough road because I believe a little too much in it. I didn't want to sell. I was like, if you're shorting, you're not a really kind of. I was so mad, and now I'm like, well, maybe I should have taken a little bit more profit, bought some extra quotas or 10.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, for sure. It's interesting.
Will, 2 quick questions, just clarifications for people that might not know, because I feel like we end up talking about these things and it's like, oh, we know what that means. But if somebody's, checking out the video, 2 questions really quick. Again, I know the answer, but what is like geo-block? Why, like, what does that even mean, first off? And then second off, what if I only have 1,000 APE coin? Like, is that okay? Can I only do 1,000?
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry, man. Sorry.
You want to field it? Go for it.
I just wanted to talk about the geo-blocking part, and then I'll let you get the other part. So the geo-blocking is specific to Horizon Labs apestake.io, their front end, which they were commissioned by the DAO to specifically do one thing, which was to create us an awesome contract, a safe contract, and audit that contract and push out a quality contract that we could all trust. And secondly, a UI, so that we could interact with that contract without having to go directly to the contract. The primary there is the definitely making the contract. The geo-blocking, I don't know. I can speculate. I'm going to out loud. I can speculate as to why the geo-blocking was put in place, and I think it's just because it's an attack vector. It's to protect Horizon, not Yuga, not anybody else, just Horizon, and I'm totally okay with that because I don't want them to be an attack vector or for regulators. I don't want anybody to sit there and just be able to say, in this state, some regulator who doesn't really know what they're doing, say, hey, we're going to issue a cease and desist order on Horizon for having this front end, basically. Since they're not servicing the United States or Canada, they're not really going to get told to stop, because they're not. And we don't have to deal with the possibility of the FUD from CoinDesk or anything like that saying, Iowa regulators issue cease and desist for Horizon Labs to take down apestake.io. And I'm like, no, we definitely don't want that. So I'm perfectly fine with it. As soon as I saw it, I was, essentially the geo-blocking just prevents you in the United States and Canada from interacting with just that front end. Everything else you're able to do. I mean, you can, like I said, I've been teaching everybody how to stake directly to contract, just because we're allowed. There's nothing that's said that I can't. There is no law saying that I can't. Until there is, I will continue using the Ethereum virtual machine. There are people who are a little bit worried. They're like, what if retroactively blah, blah, blah? And I'm like, okay, well, we can talk about hypotheticals all day long. Here, I've got one for you. Tornado. Okay, this one's not even hypothetical. They did it. They basically told everybody, like, hey, stop using it. And a week later, when people freaked out, they were like, okay, fine. You can take your money out. And think about that. That's a big deal. Where they were like, don't use this at all ever again. Okay, you can take your money out. It's okay. But think about it. If this was illegal to stake, they would have already told us, like, stop doing it. If they were to tell everybody to stop, I'm 99% sure they would do the exact same thing they did with Tornado, which, by the way, Tornado is something that it's very clear why they would block Tornado. A staking contract? Come on. Like, we've been staking all kinds of things for a while, and it hasn't been on the radar. That said, it could be in the future, and I'm sure that there's a good possibility that the regulations coming down won't be entirely favorable. Them making it illegal to stake, no, I don't really see that happening. That wouldn't be sensible. So I think that the geo-blocking was simply so that there's not an attack vector for it's to protect Horizon, and again, all of us, because it eliminates that attack vector. So we just have to do what Ethereans do. Anybody that's using Ethereum, and decentralize and create dApps and ways to interact directly with the Ethereum virtual machine, like we always do, in a decentralized way, which is amazing. And that's what makes us special. Using one particular front end for everybody doesn't feel as decentral, even though we do that with Uniswap and lots of other platforms. But it's nice to have options and alternatives, which we always do as well.
Yeah, definitely. So to answer Phil's second question that he put out there about, if you have 1,000 APE, what do you do? I mean, obviously, if you've got an NFT, you can throw it into one of the pools with the NFTs. If you don't have the NFTs, you can go into the ape only pool. And if you don't want to do that, then you can put it on, a couple of different services. So maybe we can kind of segue and talk about some of the different things that are out there. Gerry, I'm not sure. We talked earlier a little bit about it, but it does appear that there are a couple of options. I know you hopped on a space with Parispace. Is it Parispace?
Parispace.
That I believe you can deposit ApeCoin and then they use it somehow. Do you care to hop into that a little bit and kind of share your findings? Because you were grilling them pretty good when I briefly hopped in there.
I'm protective of our apes. I'm very. I was told that I was being overly critical, and I was very pleased to hear that, because I planned on it. I want to be overly critical. I'm trying to be really cautious, extremely, because we should err on the side of caution, not profits. And I think that all right. Well, first, to explain what they are, they're BendDAO and Parispace are essentially introducing shared staking. Shared staking being where if somebody doesn't have enough ApeCoin to max stake, they might want to still stake. So what they'll do is they'll lend somebody that high yield key that is your BAYC or MAYC or dog by essentially depositing your ape into one of these pools, and then allowing somebody else, whether it's through a paired mechanism where you're just pairing up with somebody and then you're sharing the profits one way or the other, whether it's 40, 60, 30, 70, 50, 50, whatever you two decide on. Or if it's a pooled mechanism like Paraspace, where it's more like a liquidity pool where a bunch of people put their apes in to borrow against, then they borrow ape coin or ETH against the asset, and then probably use that to stake with, and end up making a higher. The goal there is for them to make a higher yield than the interest that they're going to pay for borrowing the ape coin from other people who want to make a slightly higher yield by depositing their ape coin. So it's really about, look, if you and I, let's say you had 1,000 ape coin and I didn't, and I had an ape, and we decided we could get together and we were like, hey, let's do this. And then you put that into a smart contract. That's essentially what these two are doing. So the basics of it, and there's other ones that are doing the same thing. I believe Solidity.io is doing something similar with ape staking.io. I'll have to double check and make sure that that's not the right website. I'll get you the exact right website.
That was the NF3 exchange or whatever it was. I think was Solidity.io. It was like some partnership there. Anyways,
there's a couple of them. We'll have to get a list together. I know that you're working on a list. We'll work on a list and kind of make sure that everybody has the right information. But I don't really have it. And there's Omni, which Lior is advocating for. Quit hasn't had a chance to look over that one yet. Before I endorse any, really, I mean, I haven't used any. I've only done straight to contract, and there's to be completely honest, like some of these, I feel like they're a little rushed. I feel like if they're not done right now, if they're not done at this moment, and they're trying really hard to be the first ones ready when everybody wants to be there at the starting gate, which is on the 12th when earnings go live. I feel like if they're not ready at this moment, you just slow down, hit the brakes a little bit. Me personally, that's why, again, I like to just go straight to contract for now and just kind of play it on the cautious side.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's the major thing there, right? Like, you've got time between now and 11 a.m. Central on Monday the 12th before the rewards kick in. Obviously, you don't want to be FOMO rushing around at the last minute trying to do all sorts of crazy stuff, and then, oh, whoops, you put ApeCoin in a mutant or an ape that was listed, and then suddenly you've lost your ape or your mutant or your dog and all the ApeCoin in it. Or well, not dogs, but anyways. So to touch on those platforms a little bit more, my original kind of concern that I was kind of having was like, I've used BinDAO for like borrowing some ETH to make a play or whatever. I don't mind that as much from a safety point of view, because it's like you've at least borrowed ETH against the asset. So it's like if something happened to BinDAO, you at least still had that ETH. But it's like, I don't know how I feel about like putting assets on these different contracts, these different platforms, and then, also adding in ApeCoin as well on top of that. Like if you're going to do BinDAO for self-staking, like I feel like it's just much more safe. Well, it is safer, right, to go directly to the contract than to put your ape on BinDAO and put it in their contract just to use their self-staking feature. So I don't know. I mean,
I think they're probably doing it right. BinDAO, it would be the one that I would say might not be rushing it, because I feel like they've got a little bit of a track record. Look, I'm not for. I don't want to advocate for either one of them or any of the leveraging platforms. I'm not really, that's not my thing really. But I know that a lot of apes are going to do it, period. Like you're going to. So I believe that there needs to be competition. I will advocate for competition, even if somebody just gave credit and just did a fork of BinDAO, a clone, and gave credit. I'm okay with, for the same reason that I'm okay with just diversifying your wallets. I don't have all of our apes in one wallet for a reason. Like that doesn't make any sense to me. People, some people have 68s in one wallet, and I'm like, that doesn't make any sense to me because nobody's perfect. Mistakes happen, and you might as well mitigate your losses. So I'm okay with them being split up. That's the good thing about having an extra one. I like BendDAO. Their track record speaks for itself. They haven't really had any breach that I can see. There were, a couple little scares with liquidity, but that seems to be fixed for now. I don't really know. I mean, I don't know if I personally you look, these other D apps, by the way, so anybody listening, there's a difference here between the UIs, the user interface where you're putting your apes in and you're depositing them into a contract like BendDAO or Paraspace, and one that's just a UI where you're using a different front end than that one that's geo-blocked. So just having a different front end to deposit with or withdraw or claim with, as opposed to using the just going direct to contract. I personally think that, I love that you're helping people going to contract. I think it's just amazing. We need more of that because I believe that this is our space. It's Ethereum. Like you should learn, to be safe, education is key. And I also think that it's kind of cool because it's kind of like driving a stick shift, it's like learning to drive a stick. You can have your automatic. That's great. Automatics are great. I drive an automatic. But it's also kind of nice to know how to drive a stick. And that's kind of what I feel like we're doing. We're teaching people to drive a manual transmission. And it's actually easier. It's easier than teaching somebody to drive a stick because after 5 minutes, somebody's figured out like, oh, cool. Each time it's basically the same. And interacting with the contract, you're just putting in the parameters and pressing right. So it'll usually tell you if you're about to do it wrong.
Yeah, it'll give you a big red box and it'll try and charge you a bunch of ETH that you don't want to pay on gas. So yeah, definitely. I mean, it is one of those, like, once you do it the first couple times, you're golden after that. Like the biggest challenge for me when I was first looking at the testnet contract was figuring out like some of the formatting, because I'm like, I don't have a code heavy background. Like I'm a mechanical engineer by trade, so like slightly familiar with code, but then it was like tuples and I'm like, yo, what?
What?
Like that was not. I was like, oh, I'm gonna need some help here. Luckily I used my resources and went and viewed transactions previously to kind of like close the loop on what it is. But it's funny because like looking at the guide that Bryce and I worked on, like some of our formatting is just funny because we have like quotations around the IDs and stuff, and then it's like, okay, yeah, you don't need the quotations around there. So I'm just like, yeah, we gave it our best shot, but it's kind of funny that there's just some errors in that nature there.
Yeah, we were looking at it earlier during that 15 minutes, it was great. I had about 40 people in our Discord, and I'm going through, and I just got stuck. I was sitting there doing the withdrawal for the dogs, and I just got stuck, and I was like, I haven't seen this error before because it didn't pop up on the test net, because I was using the test net that they found the same as you, like the one that they actually found the bugs on, bugs. And all of a sudden everybody in there was just searching. I was like, hey, anybody who wants to help out and see if they can, I'm down. We're just typing in different things, and people were saying stuff like that, like, hey, try putting quotes around the NFT numbers. And I'm like, sure. And I'm like, okay, why not? And I know that it's just going to tell it like, hey, this is a number, and it was already a number, but I was like, all right, so we'll do it. Why not? And be like, hey, so what about the spaces? And I'm like, all right, fine. And I'm doing the spaces, and it took a little while, but once we figured out that Boolean, everything was fine. Most people had left by then. But it's all pretty simple. The kennels are just a little bit trickier, but again, once we figured that out, it's not that bad at all. The manual that you did was fantastic. I didn't get a chance to read through all of it until today when I was looking around, and I was like, all right, cool. I felt better seeing that you and I did the same thing. And then I looked at Quits, and I was like, yep, Quit did the same thing. And I was like, man, I don't understand. I was so lost. I was looking at yours and mine and Quits, and they all look the same, and we're all looking the same.
What the heck?
Like, what am I doing wrong here? It drove me absolutely crazy. And then once I figured it out, I was like, all right, cool. And that's all. Honestly, like, look, I'm old. So I'll be honest with you, like this is how we used to learn. Back in my day, we didn't have the internet when I was, first getting on computers. I mean, I started on computers and on Commodores, and then I played, a lot on DOS with 386s and playing games like Dune, not Doom, but the first real-time strategy game, and then just figuring things out without the internet, like having to figure out how to learn how to figure something out without somebody just showing you on YouTube or telling you or having like a guide. New stuff would come out and we'd have to just fiddle around with it and figure it out. And, playing with XMS RAM and EMS and going into your multi-config system and your auto exec batch and just fiddling around until things started to work. So this is no troubleshooting. I did the same thing at Dell Computers, by the way. That was my background. I was troubleshooting for Dell Computers back in like 2000. And I love doing this stuff. I love to figure something out and then pass it on to somebody else, which is what I did there too. I figured stuff out and then I passed it on to training teams. So it's I love doing this stuff. And I had no idea. Like I did the same thing. I saw tuple and I was like, nope. I had to reach out and I'm like, what's a tuple? Help me out here. And it's not that big of a deal, but it's a really great contract. I'm happy with the contract. It's good. So
I want to quickly just jump back to, so what was the issue y'all were talking about with dogs? And was that strictly with the withdrawal or claim or what was going on there?
So withdrawal function. So, awesome. So there's a withdrawal function here. And typically what he's going to show you is that when we were doing a withdrawal, you'd go to this function called withdrawal BAKC. Right. And when you do this function, you normally would put in like an open bracket, your APE number, your doggo number, and the amount that you wanted to withdraw. And then you'd close the bracket. And then you'd fill in like right here what he's got. He's got the base pair at the top, and that's an open bracket, closed bracket. Mm-hmm. And you would basically just write it out just like that without the true. So he's got true at the end, which is a Boolean telling you that you want to uncommit all of the stake and you want to just, kind of just withdraw the entire position and uncommit that NFT to the pool. And if you were to put in false, it would mean that you just want to take out a small amount, so he could change that to 5 with 18 zeros, and it would just remove 5 APE coin. If he were so the difference was that true was not in there in the test net. Mm-hmm. They added this Boolean later on, actually like last week, and they told us on while I was in Miami on the 4th, the tweet went out saying, hey, check the update, and sure enough, there it is, that we're supposed to put in this extra little piece, this true or false, and that just wasn't there before. So I was putting this in over and over and over again and just staring at the screen like a madman. Like, I know I've done this. I did this last week. I did it a lot. Matter of fact, I was actually bragging to him last week. I was like, I'm on the message about, dude, I'm a kennel master. Like I was able to do like four dogs in one transaction, and it was easy. And then they throw us a curveball and they're like, no, that allows for front running. So they changed it up on us. So without getting too technical, it's actually kind of crazy because you can actually switch that right there. That doesn't even have to say 856. You can literally change that whole number to a 0. And for anybody watching, it says 856 because 856 plus 18 zeros, because Ethereum wants to measure everything in way. So there's 18 zeros behind every number. So 856 APE coin for the paired pool is the maximum. So he's got 856 and 18 zeros. But strangely enough, because the true Boolean at the end is actually instructing it to uncommit, it will remove the entire amount, even if you just change that entire number to 0.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah, I was playing around with that, and I'm not quite sure how I want to word that, because it is I might actually change it to false and show a different example, because it's not clear the first time you go through. Because like I put 200 false, and I was like, all right, well, I'm going to try this and actually see if this Boolean actually does anything. It did. It only pulled out 200, and then I switched it to true, and I was like, all right, withdraw 20, and then it like yanked out 636, and I was like, well, that answered that question. Like,
so real quick, if you were to change that 856 to like 200, assuming you were max staking your dog, you changed that to 200 and still left the true in, it would just unstake everything.
Yeah, because it's
right. Okay. So the true is just like decommitting, where the false is saying, all right, I want to take out this amount, but I want to keep my dog still staking with whatever's left over.
Right. Correct. So and there's another important caveat there. We should start at the beginning probably, but yes, you could actually remove. So the true function is going to uncommit. Now the important thing to remember is if you uncommit, which means you're withdrawing the entire amount, you're also going to trigger your claim. Okay, so anytime you uncommit and you withdraw an entire amount, you're triggering your claim as well. So if you don't want to trigger your claim, like let's say just for instance, somebody never wanted to claim for whatever purpose, you would want to just hit false and then change that number to 855, which would remove all but one ape coin, and then you wouldn't trigger that claim function because you wouldn't call the claim function. So we can get to that. I'd be happy to just go over like the quick rundown of the three primary functions.
Sure.
I think that'd be good.
What were you about to say first?
I don't remember. Do you want to share your screen?
Yeah.
Or?
No, go ahead and do me a favor. Just go to the the list, our 1 through 25. Like or do you have it? The contract? There we go.
Yeah, you're talking about this?
So there are three primary functions within the contract that we're calling on. And it looks like there's a big list here. There's 25. So when people see this, they initially are a little shocked because they're like, oh my God, what's what? And really, it's not that bad. There are only three main functions. You've got deposit, which is stake. That's staking. And then you have claiming, which is going to claim your rewards. And you have withdraw, which is unstaking. So we have deposit, withdraw, and claim. And that's pretty much it. You don't really have to worry about much else. Once you decide if you want to withdraw, now you're looking, okay, well, do I want to withdraw from the ApeCoin pool, the Macy pool, Basie pool, or the Kennel pool? And so that eliminates, there's another 4 there that you have to choose from. And then we've got another little fun thing, which is self. Whenever you see self, like withdraw self BAYC versus just withdraw BAYC, self is going to assume that you want to withdraw or claim or even deposit to the wallet that you are currently signing with. So the wallet that you're signing with would be the wallet that it's assuming that you want to withdraw to. And if you see where it says just withdraw BAYC, then it's going to give you the option to pick a recipient. So you can actually put in and you can withdraw to a different address. Same thing with the claim. You can claim and just put in a different address. You just have to go to claim BAYC. If you go claim self BAYC, it's going to assume that you want to claim to the address that you're signing with. So once you figure out those three things, that you have those three major functions, claim, deposit, and withdraw, and then you break that down between, okay, which pool do you want, the ApeCoin pool, the Macy pool, Basie pool, or the Kennel pool, and then also knowing, the difference between if it says self or not. And again, the self function or not having the self in there, it doesn't really matter. It's an extra step. You can put in, if you go to withdraw BAYC right there where he's got, then you can put in your recipient address as your own, and that's totally fine as well. So this just adds a little bit of extra flexibility for dApps and devs to be able to sit there and make it easier for people to interact and just add a little bit of extra flexibility. But it's pretty simple once you just have those three things down, and then the syntax, it's pretty basic as well. So the most difficult one being the one that we've been talking about, that we literally jumped straight to. That is the most difficult of all of the syntax, is the one that we're describing. The easier ones, I mean, literally for claim self BAYC, you literally scroll up to claim self BAYC. Yeah, you're gonna just put in. You're literally just gonna put in the ape number. So like me, I would put in like 3155. If I were going to claim 2, it would be like 3155, comma 2169. It's pretty straightforward. If you're there's going to be brackets if you've got multiples, and but that's where you can fall back. And A-Ring Ape there, he's got his great guide, and I know he's going to update it now. And you helped with that?
I did.
Awesome. You guys did a great job. I was going to try and make one that rivaled it, and I changed my mind and just shared yours. It was great.
My favorite function out of this whole thing is the claim self ApeCoin. You literally can't mess it up.
Yeah, that's the best one. Just right. Done. Exactly. And that's so the other cool thing is being able to, there's some other little functionalities that are included. You can deposit to somebody else's ApeCoin only pool. You can deposit to somebody else's BAYC, MAYC. You can deposit to somebody else's kennel pool. This is an interesting one. I'm waiting on a response as to why. I can speculate, but you can't. This is interesting. You cannot deposit to somebody else's stake. Like let's say I have my ape sitting in my wallet, and it's just chilling there with no ApeCoin attached to it whatsoever. You can't, from somebody else's address, you can't add any position. You can't stake for me at that point. Like if I don't have anything staked, you can't do anything. It's just going to sit there. But if I stake one ApeCoin, just one single ApeCoin, and open that position, then anybody from any other address can top it off, can add as much ApeCoin to that position as they want once it's open. So that's interesting. They can't withdraw it, of course. It's mine. Haha, thank you. But you could do that with your own address. If you had all your ApeCoin over here in one wallet, and you just went and started a bunch of positions, you'd be able to add to those positions from just one wallet, which I don't think that's the intention, but it's just interesting that you can do that.
Yeah, and another thing that I think will become a point of interest for people is whether or not you like access this all the time and perform your own kind of auto compounding, except you're not manual compounding for your positions. Have you given any thought to that? What you're going to be doing, or any kind of strategy you have there?
I mean, obviously the strategy, if you are max staked, would be to often unstake, especially at the beginning, would be to claim, and not unstake. Let me rephrase. Not unstake. Claim your unclaimed rewards, and then stake those directly into the ApeCoin only pool, so that you're compounding your rewards, because your claim doesn't earn anything. So if you have, your unclaimed rewards don't earn, so they just sit there. If you don't have enough to max stake, then I think that the best strategy, of course, would be to what you just said, basically to claim and then stake right back in on a daily basis. If the rewards are high enough and the gas makes sense, or at minimum, like on a weekly basis. And it's pretty quick. It'd be super fast for anybody to sit there and just hit claim and then restake. Of course, you'd have to do it for each pool, but that you were in. But yeah, that's I think that's going to be my strategy, is to max stake, and then we'll just claim and redeposit into the ApeCoin pool, and try and maximize like that. What about you? What are you going to do?
I was going to try and put a little bit of thought into timing, if it makes sense, because rewards tick hourly. So is it going to be beneficial to do it within after 4 hours? Is it going to be 4 days? At what point does it kind of make sense where you're oh, you're really kind of missing out by not doing this, even though you have to use a gas transaction
Right.
2 ways, right? To claim and then to deposit. So I don't know. I haven't really dug too much into that yet, but I feel definitely going to be staking at least my OG ape and the dog that I have with it. And then I don't know. I'm still kind of trying to figure out how I'm going to play around with the rest. I've got some mutants on the side that I might top up. But yeah, we'll just see. I don't know. I'm kind of expecting some volatility leading into Sunday, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, there's only like we'll go take a look. There's not a whole lot of ape coin.
Well, if you look at Bendow, there's like 32 apes currently wanting to paired stake, right? So
That's
like
not bad.
Wait,
I'll take that. That's not bad.
What's that?
I feel like we got a pretty big bump up in ape coin deposited here.
It was at 31 million this morning, and then 40 million by the time I was done with that class. What are we at now?
We're sitting at 23 million ape coin in there, worth 90 million now.
Well, do you want to quickly show people how they can double check that?
90 million.
Well, you can, yeah. I'll go ahead and update my little tracking thing that I've been doing here. Essentially, nothing fancy there either. Just a Google sheet doing some calculations, pulling data from the different pools. If you just go in and query the different pool IDs, it'll tell you how many are staked. So I'm going to drag and drop.
What he means by that, when you go to the contract, you there's at the top of the contract, usually you see transactions. You go over to where it says contract, you go to read contract, and then there's all these cool query functions. And I often use just number 4, says get all stakes for a position. You can put in any address, hit the query button, and it'll tell you, like, all of the different compatible NFTs that are in that wallet. So if somebody's got like 5 BAYC and 3 doggos, it's going to show you like all of those in separate line items. And we can break that down for everybody too, and show everybody like what each one of those numbers mean, what they represent, and then people can go in there and just kind of check and see, okay, how much ape coin do I have? How much ape coin do I have to claim? How much am I going to earn over the next 24 hours? Things like that. And then if you have a decent amount that you can claim, you can just call the claim function. But also on that same page, like on the contract, if you just bring up the contract, just bring up the ape coin staking contract, it shows you right at the top, like balance 0 ether, but token, it'll show you that there are 23,150,000 ape coin that are deposited for 89 million. So $89 million worth. So that is quite an uptick from earlier. Like I said, this morning, it was at 31 million when I started, and we've tripled in a day, less than a day. That's wild.
Hold on.
That calculation's not quite right.
Something's broken. Give me a second.
Fun.
Hold on. Let's see.
I call it up too. When you change.
Mess something up. But yeah.
You put the number twice, I think, and the BAYC number is entirely wrong.
BAYC it's pretty hefty. Let's see.
There we go. I got it fixed now. Hold on. Let me pull it back up. Okay, so it looks a lot better after I crop it and screenshot it and all that kind of crap. But,
we're still right. Like we're like, oh wow, it went up a lot, but the pool's only 5.3%.
No. So what?
I mean, it did go up quite a bit.
What did go up? I don't know. Is this correct? 5.
Yeah, I think so, because I'm looking at the numbers and I can see pretty much the same thing. Let's see here. Let me bring up my ETH converter right here, and I will see that. I have 5.3 million. Yeah, I have 5.3 and the BAYC 1.8. Yeah. Scroll over to the.
It's 388,000.
Okay. Cool. Yeah. There you go. That's what I've got. That's what I'm showing. Everything looks good. I don't know where the uptick.
Oh, you know what it was? Is that where are we? We're missing a bunch. Are we not?
Where?
Well, yeah.
Hang on.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Hang on.
Can I not math? Am I doing this wrong?
Ape coin only is the 336. BAYC is 531. Seeing Macy at 187. Is that what you've got? And then I've got BAKC at 388.
Yeah, that's what we have.
Right. So that's 10.8 million ape coin, and there's 23 million in the pool. or in I guess in the contract. So that's probably rewards that have been filled in somewhere.
Oh, I see what you're saying. What are we missing? Oh, I see what you're saying. You're saying
Yeah,
APE
there's probably
stake,
like a
we've
big
got
transfer.
5774. Oh, it's funded. It's been funded.
Yeah.
Done.
That's what
Okay,
I'm
so
trying to say.
that's what it is. They've funded it.
It's
So
funded.
the contract was scheduled to be funded between the 7th and the 12th. They have now funded the contract. So that I'm like, man, what happened? Okay, so this morning when it was at 31 million, and we can probably go look at some. There's probably some transaction in here that's going to show a deposit, a massive deposit. But
Yeah, I was trying to find it.
yeah, it's probably like a 50. Oh, did you not? You're not counting.
It
You're
was
not able to find a enormous transaction.
Yeah, I was a few pages deep already, but that's not fully funded, is it?
I don't know. I don't remember what it's supposed to be
Because
funded
it should be
at,
like
but that's the only
100
explanation.
million or something like that. Unless if they just did Q1. No, that doesn't even make sense either. Okay, I think I was on this page.
You got me curious now. I'm just going to sit there and scroll through and look.
I know. It's kind of
But these are like
a
just
pointless
hours
waste
ago.
of time now, but I just want to validate that there was the transaction and kind of see where it came from.
Definitely going to be a deposit. It's not going to be a stake though. It'll be a it shouldn't be a stake.
Let's see. Is there something in the contract where they would have? Wait.
Oh, you're on the ApeCoin contract.
I'm in the ApeCoin contract. What am I doing?
That's the wrong one, man.
Wrong contract. Wrong contract. So they have a couple things here where they do the add time range. Okay. So there's not actually anything.
There's a
Say again?
7.5 hours ago, 30,000 ApeCoin was deposited. Let's see if this transaction is. I'll tell you what. I will drop you. She asleep? Phil?
Hello?
Oh, you're quiet again, my friend.
Because I turned my mic all the way down. I literally have been out for like 25 minutes because, really great
job, man.
Really great timing for my wife to go to this today. So here we are. Such is life, but I'm back.
No, that's a small one. That's just 30,000 ApeCoin. So we are currently just kind of nerding out and on a scavenger hunt.
We're looking for a lot of ApeCoin.
I love the show.
I guess I'll briefly talk about a couple of the questions that I've gotten from random people. Just hit me in the comments or the DMs. One of the things that I get asked a lot so far has been, well, shoot, now I'm blanking. What was the question? It's like the most common one that I've forgotten it. It just has to do along the lines of like whether or not things will automatically change in your position. And we kind of talked about this earlier. If you put 1,000 ApeCoin in and you start thinking you're getting rewards, you're not actually earning on any of those unclaimed rewards. Gerry had mentioned that earlier. So you would have to claim them and then redeposit them. Rewards are hourly. Basically, this is the the number one question. Is it a lockup period, or can you claim or stake or unstake at any point in time? And the answer for just about everything is yeah, you can come and go as you please. The only place that I've seen any sort of like lockup has been on Binance, which I was going to dig into that a little bit more, but I haven't had the time to go see what their program's all about. But it was like talking about like 30, 60, 90-day lockup.
Whoa.
Which I thought that was kind of interesting because that's one of the concerns that I have with like BinDAO, if you were going to do paired staking over there, because like hypothetically, you could put max staked into a really good reward rate, and then someone could be like, oh no, I'm gonna jump it down to 60% instead of you getting 70%. And then, you know, you may not know it, but your position just got, you know, canceled. So you're going to have to end up shopping around time and time again if you can't find reliable people to stake with. So,
well, I think once you join it, like on BendDAO, once you accept the terms, they can't go back and be like, oh, well, it was 70-30. I'm going to make it 60-40 or whatever. But they could just pull out their ApeCoin and be like, no, I'm done staking. And that's where I think it's going to become really unreliable for people that want to use like BendDAO and other platforms is, you know, if the token all of a sudden skyrockets and people are, you know, helping other apes stake on BendDAO, they're just going to be like, nope, I'm going to take my tokens and go sell them.
Yeah, exactly.
you know, another thing too, which was kind of interesting that I saw, I was looking at like the listings on BendDAO, because I think there's like 30 something Bored Apes and
34.
or maybe it's 20 something, and then a handful of mutants. A lot of them have the requirement that you have to have the max amount of ApeCoin in order for you to stake with them, which I feel like that could potentially limit your pool of people that you want to stake with. Because like, what happens if a whale has 20,000 ApeCoin and then they put it in one Bored Ape max stake, and then they try to spread it into some well, that was a terrible example. 17,000, not 20,000.
Yeah.
So that, I mean, basically though, you're going to reach a point where it's like, what if they only have an extra 1,000 ApeCoin? And you said, no,
right.
I don't want anybody, unless if you're going to give me 2042 for my mutant. You just kind of limit your potential for people.
And there's quite a few on there that are a range from 2,500 to 10,000, but the majority are, I want 10,094 and that only.
I want as few ape. I mean, this is kind of how we feel as solo stakers with Ethereum, and maybe that's kind of where, you know, I'm coming from here. I want people to be safe, but I also want the health of the network, the health of our ecosystem to come first. So, for instance, with Ethereum, with being like a solo validator, or with being a validator at all, you know, having your 32 ETH and validating, like a lot of people actually, they stake using pools, and they use like Rocket Pool even, or Lido, and unfortunately you're just depositing, you're basically handing it over to them, and you're saying, here, you do this. Whereas a solo staker, you know, I've got a piece of equipment in a closet, and it's supporting this whole network, and it's decentralized, and it's healthy for the network. And I feel like that's similar to people staking on their own. I love that we're staking on our own, and I love that, you know, people are, if you're going to the contract, or even if you're using one of these other methods, or if you're out of the out of North America, of course, using Horizon's apestake.io, lucky. I think that I like those ideas, those much better than going the centralized route of, and look, I know that you make money, and if you don't have enough to stake, I'm not going to fault anybody at all. I'm just saying I prefer for people to be able to keep their assets, keep their coins, not do it the decentralized or the centralized way. And, you know, especially in the environment that we're in right now, you know, safety first, and err on the side of caution, not profits, a little bit. But I totally, I don't fault anybody. I know people are going to do it. I'm actually a little bit encouraged that there aren't more doing it. When I first saw the news that BendDAO was going to introduce shared staking, I don't know if you guys remember, that day was the day that the Macy's just plummeted. They were at 18 ETH, and they plummeted to like 13 in just a couple days, because people, you know, were buying up Macy, you know, mutants specifically to stake, because we all knew, based on-chain data, that from Dune Analytics, that they were going to pay out 112. They were showing that they were going to pay 120 to 140% based on on-chain data. We knew that wasn't going to be entirely accurate, because, you know, there's plenty of people like myself that don't have their ape coin in the same wallet as their mutant or their apes, so they don't that on-chain data is not entirely accurate. But we also know that, most people didn't keep all of their APE coins, so those rewards were going to be pretty high, pretty juicy. Mm-hmm. And BendDAO announced that they're going to do the shared staking model. Cool. And then suddenly people were like, oh, well, there goes the returns. That 140% just got cut. I feel like when they announced the geo-blocking and a lot of people kind of freaked out, some people dumped, they're not coming back. I feel like that helped the people that, like me anyways, the people who believe that we're decentralized and that's the world we live in. And those rates are going to be much higher. So I like that people are staking for themselves and not so much just trusting a protocol and somebody else's keys. And in Paraspace's case, their contract still allows for upgrades. That kind of worries me, gives me a little pause. You are 100% trusting them. It's trust. Like if you put your ape in there, you're trusting them to not upgrade incorrectly or poorly. Because if they upgrade something, if they decide to go in there and upgrade and change the code, they're not going to call you. They're not going to call you first. They're not going to be like, hey, by the way, we're going to do this update. If you wanted to get your assets out, let us know. They're not going to do that. So there's a lot of faith there. What do you have there? 17 million.
This is the transaction that we were missing. One of them, I guess.
That's one of them. Yeah, wow, that's a hefty one. Good find. And for 65 cents.
Yeah, right.
Gotta love 1559.
I capitulated and downloaded the CSV to find the largest transaction. It's like, I'm not going to keep clicking through every single one of these pages.
So I just got a message. I get these all day, and the message just came through, and it said, Gerry, I don't mean to bother you, but can you help me with something? Is there a way for me to stake my BASI without? Is there a way to stake my BASI without without any APE coin? And I'm going to tell him yes.
Yeah, it might be a hot take, but if you can't max stake and you're holding an artifact, probably just sell it.
There you go. I mean,
wait, what?
It's hard for some people.
The artifact, the monoliths, all the if you can't max stake and you're holding artifact, like just dump it.
I thought you were talking about like other deed artifacts,
no,
bro.
No, not other deed artifacts.
What am I listening to? Right? What kind of financial advice is Bryce giving right now?
Not.
We're just gonna sell our quotas.
Yeah, sell it all. Forget about it.
Sell the
just
quota.
Sell your if you can't max stake.
I
don't even want to talk about artifact.
I know. That's why I said hot take, but
I know that you've probably covered this when I was on baby duty, but I'm going to ask it anyways because these are two, like, I think relatively basic questions that maybe people aren't aware of for sure. So obviously you can stake now, but does it matter if I stake right now or an hour before staking goes live?
Man, that's the $1 million. No, it makes no difference.
That was a joke, everyone.
No FOMO. No FOMO.
Yeah.
There is zero advantage whatsoever. Okay, you said an hour. I would rather you say like 12 hours or a day.
1 hour is probably a bad idea.
I wouldn't wait that late, but
1 hour. So the reason that they gave us, they originally were going to set the pre-reward deposit period for 2 weeks. And then they chose to do 1 week after they had to do the update for the bug bounty and all that, which is great. But they kept us on schedule for the 12th. The 2 week time period and the 1 week time period, those were meant to be to prevent gas, to get everybody a chance to get to the starting line at the exact same time, and no gas wars. And just kind of like right now, being able to do this, think about this. How amazing is this that we have this whole week for me to sit there and teach people, for you guys to teach people, for us to have this, for people to go watch this, just really everybody to sit there and just sit back and freaking chill and just wait. And yes, the other advantage is that you can see which pool, if you can't max stake, do I want to go in the Macy pool, the BASI pool? Like where do I want to put my APE coin? How do I want to distribute? So yeah, the advantage to waiting is just to kind of get a little bit more of an edge and know, which pool is going to make the most sense. But from the other perspective, it was brilliant that they just really gave us the time. Like, some people were like, oh man, if it was one day, nobody would complain. I'm like, what? like God, man, like, y'all are messed up. Like, yes, people would freak out. If it was just one day, there would be plenty of people that were upset because they didn't. I mean, look, it's I love that they gave us some time to sit there and work out these kinks and discover some different things, because if you deposited and everything went live tomorrow and we were like, we can't figure out how to withdraw dogs because, we didn't know to put in that bullion, we'd be like, I mean, I've already had people that I've helped deposit. I helped a couple dozen people already stake, and a couple reached out and they're like, do I need to do anything? And I'm like, no, you're good. Everything is fine. It was just this one little bullion that we just changed when you withdraw, which I've done like 5 times since, and everything works just fine. So no, to answer your question, there's no advantage whatsoever to depositing now versus an hour before. I would encourage people, no FOMO, no rush, be safe.
Do your research. Ask questions if you have them.
Yeah, I'm wide open.
What
my
kind of
DMs are open.
timeline? Do what?
My DMs are open for anybody. Yeah,
okay. I was gonna say, so when do you think we see, like, do you think most people are really just waiting until like 2 hours before, 3 hours before, or do you think we're gonna see a sizable chunk come in on Saturday and Sunday? Because like, it's like, yeah, you could wait till the last minute to kind of like decide where you want to position, but at the same time, you could still run into issues if it's your first time going through. And so it's like, I've had a couple people ask me like, oh, like, so this pool looks like it's going to be the best based off the Dune dashboard. And I'm like, well, the Dune dashboard fills up the Bored Ape pool first, and then the Mutant Ape pool, and then the Kennel. So it's like, you can't make that assumption necessarily, that one is better than the other just off of the Dune dashboard with data that is, I'm curious how close that data is. If it's close, and I don't know, we'll see. It's going to be a wild ride.
If it's close, you need to put your ape coin into those side mutants, and then use those returns to funnel into your base ETH. Yeah. That's what I would do. That would be the strategy that I would use. But no, you're absolutely right. All of those need to be taken with a grain of salt. When people ask me like, which one should I deposit in, I'm like, man, just like, your apes. Put up your apes. The doggos could end up being the big play. They'll probably have a pretty high reward for dogs, to be completely honest with you. And I think all of them are going to be high. I think the rush will not be on this weekend or on Monday. I personally think it's going to be next week. I think the rush will come. Yes, we'll have a hefty uptick, like a nice little parabolic curve coming up to Monday. I'll be teaching a class on Saturday again, a more updated class, a smoother class this time. But I believe that when people see that they're not dumping the ape coin that they're earning, that people are not just going to earn and then the next day dump all of it, and we're not all going to, just cash out.
Going to zero?
Right. I think that when people start seeing like, wait a minute, I can make 30 ape coin a day on this NFT, I think people are probably going to start, FOMOing in a little bit. And I think that's hypothetical. We could have a Black Swan event. I don't know what's going to happen. This is all speculation, but I mean, my simple brain says, and this is why my wife and I got into Ethereum. We were, we looked at the numbers and we were like, wait, you have to have 32 ETH. And we did the math. We're like, that's like $5,000. And we're like, all right, so for like $5,000, and we can do 32 ETH. We can deposit that. I was like, and this is like at least a year and a half away. We thought maybe like July 2021, maybe. And we were like, all right, so we give ourselves 2 years. We were like, all right, 2 years is we can handle that. And we just assumed that when people started seeing these high rates of return, we're getting 5%, by the way. But when we were like, oh man, it's going to be like 10, 12, 18%, and then plus MEV, and it's going to be amazing. And we just started rattling off these huge numbers. it's 5%. It started off at like 12, but the more people who staked, it went down. But the idea, I was like, when people start seeing how easy it is, because that thing doesn't cost me anything. It's costing me like pennies a day to run the validator, and or that machine, and it's got multiple validators in it making money. I was like, that obviously people are going to want to participate, which is going to cause the price to go up. I was wrong. I was wrong. The price didn't go up because the rates weren't there. But I feel like if the rates were there and we were making 18% on our ETH, that maybe ETH would be higher right now. And I think that ApeCoin has that potential. I feel like we're very low. I feel like there's some speculation, some positive bullishness on the use case. It might be a ways off. Garga just said on Benzinga that Q3 persistent by Q3, man. That's bullish.
Pretty soon.
Yeah,
really
it feels really
more like
yeah.
so far away. I'm like,
no,
that's
that's
less
like
than a year, dudes. Like that's nice.
right. We've been in the swamp a year and a half.
Yeah,
dude, we were just at Q1's going to be insane, and now
we're at the end of Q4 now.
Right. It's going to be a ride. So
been quiet for too long. It's coming.
I've got one more question. Simple question. Again, I'm great with the simpleton questions. The next question that I've heard people ask: how long do these rewards, like how long does it go on? Is this forever that Ape just continues to drip to me for my entire life?
Yeah. So right now it's scheduled for 3 years. It's broken up into periods. So we have 12 different periods currently that it's broken into, I believe. Is that correct? 4, one per quarter, one every 90 days. And during each quarter, there's a different amount of ApeCoin that has been allotted for each pool that will be evenly distributed amongst the ApeCoin that is currently staked in each of those pools. And at the end of the 3 years, I would assume that we will pass an AIP of some sort, or there will be some other mechanism for us to earn off of. But currently, we are set up for 3 years. It's a different amount. It tapers off, and ideally, the dollar amount will be the same or higher by the end. That would be ultimate, is if we had a higher dollar value. There we go. But it's currently scheduled for the highest dollar amount. That first 90 days is going to be the highest reward. No ifs, ands, or buts. Like the first 90 days is going to be pretty key. If you can max stake in and I think that's also going to lead to some of the FOMO. If you can max stake in that first 90 days, you're going to get paid.
Yeah,
I believe. Yeah, I believe that.
You are on mute, my brother in Christ.
Thank you. Sorry about that.
You were going in too, bro. I looked at your face and you're like,
hope I wasn't interrupting you.
It's gonna be sick. I don't know. I think it's gonna be exciting. I think it's gonna be there's gonna be a whole mess of volatility. I don't know when, but it's coming. And yeah, I don't know. I'm excited to start. I feel like I've been watching and waiting for staking to start for the longest amount of time.
Okay, but that Animoca tweet earlier was just send me to the moon.
You wanna hop in that real quick? That was an interesting.
My question though, is that an official Twitter, or is that rando like dudes that are now?
It was reposted by Animoca.
Oh, okay. Because I was like, they had like 200 followers. I'm like, is this some like rando like just putting up stats?
Wait,
I mean, it's still cool.
Wait.
Which one are you talking about? I feel like I saw it, but
yeah, this
there
one
it
right
is.
here.
Oh, this one. Yes, I saw this yesterday. I wasn't even following this account. I am now. This is beautiful. I love these numbers, and they're probably they're not. I love how it just paints a little picture, but straight out of the horse's mouth, it would seem.
Pretty much.
It's almost like they had something to do with it.
Weird.
It's almost like.
Yeah, I think the big kickers are what, thread 8 and 9 there.
Yeah, I mean, okay. Well, let's just get to the good stuff. They talk about some APY calculations or APR calculations they did. Wonderful, blah 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 blah. It tapers off like we just talked about. This one again talking about it's gonna vary between the pools. It'll be great. Is it this one? No.
It's number 8.
Yeah, it is number 8. You're right,
There you
Bryce.
go.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay.
Bring that up. Yeah.
It'll generate buy pressure of 41.9 million is what they're estimating. Wow, which is 10.7% of the circulating supply. Fantastic.
Right, and what was it for other side? Like,
yeah, I mean, okay, so 8 and 9. Sorry, we're jumping around here. It was $9.4 million worth of buy pressure is what they estimated for other side. And this was a similar finding to what I had kind of looked at previously when I was like, before we were like really talking about paired staking. Essentially, it was like, according to the Dune Analytics dashboard, we were at like 25% capacity. And then the equivalent of moving us from like 25% capacity to 35% capacity was roughly $20 million worth of buy pressure, which is what I had kind of estimated other side to be. They're saying here that other side was 9.4. So I don't know. I overestimated. But to go from 25% to 35% of the pool would have been a whopping $20 million buy pressure. So it's like all these people that are like saying like, oh, like paired staking is hurting us. I strongly believe that it's not.
Okay.
And I think the closer we can get to 100% is actually the most bullish thing we can have for ApeCoin. Just because that's a lot of HODL pressure, and you're not getting rewards as quickly, so your incentive to farm and dump isn't as quickly as it could be. Mm-hmm. Whereas if you're getting a lot of rewards, you could easily turn around and dump them faster than if they're
I remember when Cap. So like my best friend is Captain Trippy. I love that guy. Him and I hang out regularly, and I trust him. He's the only person other than my wife that has my seed phrase. Matter of fact, my mom doesn't have it. Cap literally has the instructions on how to get my mom my seed phrase. So I remember he messaged me one day and he's like, how do you feel about this with the bend out thing? And he wasn't particularly a fan. And I was looking at it objectively, not so much from the centralization and all that I was talking about. I was looking at it objectively from, okay, adding value to apes also. And look, there's also buy pressure on the apes themselves. If somebody can't afford to buy an ape and a full bag,
and
they want to buy an ape and they're like, hey, I also want to earn, they can buy, they can deposit, and they can start earning. And not as much as somebody who is able to buy all the ape coin, but maybe that's their goal and they're going to use the, one of these shared staking mechanisms to earn that coin to eventually have a full bag or a dog or something else. Like that's value in the ape. There's value added to the ape there. So that's what I kind of tried to convey. I remember that. I was like, there's the other side of it. If 100% of apes all staked like that and we were just maxed out simply because everybody was like, we're all going to drop into Paraspace and Bendao, that would terrify me. That would be that's a not. I don't know. It's not because of the returns. Just maybe it would be good for the ecosystem.
On those contracts.
It's a lot of apes on those contracts. That scares me. But as for 100 apes being staked, or just the ability for somebody to know that that extra little added value that you can get something else from your ape, I like that part. So, I'm not 100% against the shared staking model, and I don't think it's going to dilute us. I was scared for a while. I was like, man, it's going to dilute those pools to, from us making 100% returns in the first 90 days to 20%. That was an overreaction, I'm sure, but it's still going to be, that first 90 days are going to be incredibly lucrative.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, I feel like without paired staking, we were going to the moon with 16 or 18 zeros, 18 O's in between. And now with the paired staking, we're maybe going to the moon with 16 zeros. So,
It's fine either way. We just have to be a little more patient. It's all about time, right? Same amount, little more time. And
For sure.
I mean, time is flying, especially for us. We're in a time vortex. There's definitely some kind of time dilation in my office because I feel like every hour that I'm in here is actually 5 hours in the real world. So it'll be February before you know it.
Yeah, seriously.
It will be.
I'm just asking for Christmas. Like, that's it. Like,
That's what I was going to talk about.
in the box. That's it.
Okay, so
There's
what
our
happens,
transit.
right? If we have a whole bunch of people that were doing paired staking and suddenly, you know, these other platforms that they're using, I know BendDAO has some ability to claim any sort of airdrop or reward or what, you know, whatever. But we could see a hiccup in some of that paired staking action leading into the Christmas time trial of Jimmy the Monkey. So I don't know. I'm super excited to see what happens there. That Bazinga thing with Garga today was just like cherry on top. I'm like, I'm in this Discord where they're like fading the crap out of other side, and I'm just like,
Leave.
guys,
Just leave.
it
not
literally
worth
like
it.
they've spelled it out for us, and every time they've spelled it out for us, all you had to do was like read it, and it was like what they were intending to do. So like, I don't know. When Gargo said persistent world Q3, one of the guys in there was like, yeah, that's hopeful or whatever. And I'm
It
like,
is.
no, he literally said
He said
Q3
Yeah.
persistent. Like, I would put money on. Garga said, I'll put a mutant on it. Like,
Right. It's going to be September 30th.
Yeah, right.
It'll be there.
At like
Q3.
11:30 p.m.
Exactly. Yeah, it's going to be September 30th. And we're going to be happy with it. We'll be like, oh my God, it's any day. They'll literally just drag it out. That carrot, man, we'll follow that carrot all day long. And yes, there will be people who bitch about it all the whole way, like, you know, following the carrot. Like, man, I can't believe they've got me following this carrot. And we're just going to follow it for 6 months. Like, damn it, I hate this, but we're just going to keep following. The negative energy, man, if people would fade on the other side, I don't know what to tell them, man. I'm more excited for the metaverse than I've ever been. I feel like I've been participating in this my whole life. I'll be honest with you. I find other side to be the next evolution in digital congregation. And I've been watching this happen my whole life from the first time that I was playing Doom, which wasn't the first multiplayer game that I ever played. I was playing a game called like multiplayer over dial-up. I think the first one I was playing was called Battle for the Skies. It was called like these islands that you had to build in the sky, and you basically it was a multiplayer game. It was really fast paced. I forget what it was called now, but I mean, playing Doom with people and multiplayer games, and then I mean, even just jumping on BBS's bulletin board services back in the day, that was like the beginning of the metaverse for me, and just being able to like communicate with people. And then we got into instant messaging, MIRC, which is basically like Discord, but like ultra basic. And all of these different upgrades, you know, throughout my life have been leading to this. I feel like this is the next evolution. I mean, we went to, you know, instant messaging, and then all of a sudden we started with social media, and it's just taken over. But it's also, you know, it's had its day. You know, we've been doing social media since MySpace, and arguably even with like Napster and LimeWire. And I just feel like we haven't had a real big evolution since Facebook. Like Discord, I'm in love with Discord. By the way, what we're doing right now, like the four of us, we do this every day in the Surreal Discord. We just do it with like 20 people every day, and we just, you know, and then we hang out and we have get-togethers and but this is basically what we do. We just hang out. We all do our own work, but we're also just chatting about you know, all things Yuga and NFTs, and yeah, we've got our guys talking about shitcoins, and we got our guys talking about like new NFT projects and stuff like that every once in a while. The last thing anybody ever talks about is our project, by the way, but which is by design. The metaverse itself, like what Yuga is building, this sandbox, for lack of a better term, this ability, this platform, this foundation, which is what a founder should do. Founders Their job should be to build a foundation for other people to build on, not think that they can build everything by themselves. They're not the smartest people in the room. They're good at surrounding themselves with the smartest people and giving people giving the smartest people the tools to build smart and cool shit. And I think that, that's what they're best at. And that's why it's been successful. They gave the tools to everybody and they said, go forth and prosper. And that they're going to do that with something that's absolutely revolutionary. Where, I get chills thinking about the fact that, there could be, this could be an answer for a lot of people that are going to have some economic problems. And I believe that, if it's large enough and there's proof of work where you want to go on a quest, spend a few days, do some harvesting, you need this, you need that. I need this much Ethereum. Please go harvest Ethereum, but you need lots of people to go harvest. I feel like eventually we have an economy that's built on harvesting resources and building and providing services, like actual services and consumables. And it's all built in a, on top of this. I feel like, and then it's going to be interconnected with all of these other universes or metaverses. I think of it as one metaverse, but other metaverses that are connected. Maybe all of them are running through Improbable, and then maybe eventually, because Google Stadia has decided to pull the plug on January 18th, but Google also stated that they're going to keep the tech open for their industry partners. One of those is Improbable. I feel like, maybe we have a lot more tools at our disposal than we're currently aware of that are going to allow this to expand and scale. And you start adding in things like Polygon, EVM, layer 2s, and I start getting pretty excited thinking about all the different ways that we're going to scale up and the billion people that are going to want to play this and go in there and experience what it's like to not only play a game, but to own it and to have consequences. And it makes me think of that first scene from Ready Player One, where he's describing, Parsifal's describing the metaverse, and he's talking about, like, if you die, you lose your shit, and that's the key. That's the key to all of it: consequences, and us being able to go in there and play and have real world consequences, which also gives you the opportunity for real world opportunity. And we've got a lot of people around the world that are going to have a lot of problems coming up with automation. Retail workers in the United States. You've got, automation is going to put out a lot of soft skilled jobs, people who don't have a lot of, trade jobs that are going to need extra income. And I feel like in the next year or two, those could be a target market where these people are sitting there and, like they used to on Farmville, but now they're farming, they're doing the same things. They're helping their neighbors, which was what Farmville was all about. You'd log in, you'd farm your own stuff, but you'd also log in to see which one of my neighbors came and farmed for me, because now I can claim all of those too. Like, your neighbors came in and they participated and they looked at your stuff and they hit the little farm button. They were incentivized to do that. And that's how you got ahead, was by helping each other. And it was brilliant. Like, I feel like all of these little pieces are coming together, and the next couple of years are going to be absolutely mind-blowing, because we're just on the cusp. And I think they know that. I think that Garga and Gordon and the whole team, I think that they know that. They have this vision of the future, and it's a lot bigger than just, let's jump in, play a quick game. I think it's more about, shared experiences and ownership of a new way to congregate digitally.
They've been the masters of creating community, and I think that's exactly what this is too. Is you're building out a community of people that are working in the other side, building in the other side. I mean, it's really endless, which is pretty dope. And again, like I just think that's what they've been the absolute masters of, is building and keeping a community that just loves to be in the community. And yeah, of course, there's been financial gains, of course, but I'm talking before, when apes were below 1. When they were below 0.5, I can promise you the vibes were still immaculate. Like, it started from the very beginning, and it really stems from the founders. Like, I truly believe that, because they were in the Discord and they were vibing with people, and it was just shooting the shit with us like they were your fucking next door neighbor, and they're running this company. Like, they're just the masters of that.
They were the masters at building the community. They were the masters of bringing in the beautiful people like NGB Ben, EP Man, Electro.
Yeah.
The whole, the whole vibe. You had Kaz back there at the beginning, and Herb, and just the whole vibe that was put off. And I believe the community managers, I give them just as much credit as the founders, and I mean that. I truly mean that those managers, they keep the vibe in there to where you literally just want to come back, and it's just a wonderful vibe. And I think that vibe is literally what paved the way. It wasn't IP. Everybody's like, oh, it was the IP. Nobody was using the damn IP.
Right.
People wanted to buy them because they wanted to hang out with the buddies. They wanted to, like, you know, they wanted to chill. They wanted to vibe. They wanted to share this experience, this giant experience that we've all had with the BAYC and Yuga, and they wanted to share it. And then they expanded it, and they gave us mutants, and we were able to share it with more people. And now we have other side, and we're able to share pain with everybody, which will eventually be wonderful. But right now it's just pain.
It hurts.
It hurts. We all meant it.
Band-aids off, harvest those losses. You know, it's all good. It's healing, right? It's part of the
I love
process.
buying my code at 2080
in 2023. Recollect new deeds that you have a better entry price on. You know,
I really need to go get rid of some of these. I get offers. Yesterday I was like, oh shit, somebody really wants my Tangle Vine. I got a 2.1 offer on that. And I go look at it. I scroll down a little too far and I see 8.4, and I'm like, whoa.
Yeah.
I did that.
Oh, I paid 8.4 for this fucking thing.
You're over there calculating. You're like, oh crap, that's 1/5 of a node. Ah, shit, I messed up big time.
Right now, no, man, it was like 25 grand or something, and I'm like, all right, that was, you know, at some point when we can't do hindsight. Hindsight's the great rug.
Yeah.
I can't do hindsight, but
as the kiss of death. If only, or I wish I. Yeah, no, you'll go crazy if you think that way.
Look at the chart, man.
And I do go crazy because I do think like that sometimes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The worst part for me was that I have a pie chart. I have an actual pie chart that breaks down all of my wallets, all of our holdings and everything. And I can see how much cash I have, how much Ethereum, how much is staked, how much is in validators, how much is in NFTs. And it adjusts dynamically all the time. And I remember looking at it right around other side, you know, and that stupid video, I still love watching that video. I'd show it to my mom and I'd show it to everybody else. And I'm like, this is what we're building. This is amazing. This is just the beginning. And you know, I just wasn't going to sell. And I remember looking at my measly little bag of USDC. And I was so proud of the fact that I was just balls deep in Yuga. And I was like, I'm all Yuga. Looking back, I'm like, you shit. But the fact that I was looking at it and I could see the pie chart, and the pie chart basically was like, diversify. And I'm like, no. I mean, I used to have a bunch of Kusama that I wrote up from like $8 to like, I don't know what it was. Maybe I wrote it from like $3 to $50 or something like that. That's actually what I sold when I only had 3 ETH and I bought our ape. I had to sell my Kusama. I could have sold more and bought like 3 more apes, but I was on the Kusama train. Later on, I sold all the rest of the Kusama to buy more ape coin on the way up. To buy ape coin on the way up, probably at like $12. Yeah, man, the worst part is knowing, and actually one of the worst parts was when we shot up 30% to $28 in like a day or something. We just shot up like this enormous, it was like 31 or 32% we shot up. And then I told my wife, I was like, oh my God, look, this is amazing. We did this. And, you know, we had a good stack at the time. And then all of a sudden like it pulled way back. And I told her, I was like, oh my God. I was like, I swear to God, if you ever see it go up 30% again in a day, please just tell me to sell or take profit. Please
knock me out and click the sell button.
2 days later, it goes up 28% in a day. Guess what I didn't do? I'm like, it is what it is. It's you know, we learned the lessons, and now the lessons kind of scare me because I'm like, yeah, now we've all learned the lessons, and now everybody's a little bit gun shy. So that's part of the cycle. We're in that part of the cycle. Hopefully, we're not in the denial stage, but.
We did have a very a pretty good repeat though on the Bored Ape floor, going from 66 down to 30. That's when we hit that 30 point. We had I was one of them. I was one of those. If we go to 18, man, I'm gonna buy 2 because I was like kind of trying to do the calculations at the time. I was like, what am I working with here? And then it was like, nope, 30's the bottom. Goodbye. And then it was like same thing here. We hit 50 and well, it was like maybe like a couple offers at 48 and people were like, man, if it goes to 20, 30, whatever, you know, like ring the bell. That's the bottom, bro. Like
The bottom was no
smash
good, man.
the
It
buy.
yeah, no good. No good was that one broke my heart because no good sold at around 50, and then see, I made a lot of banners, so pretty much everybody that I've ever seen that I made a banner for at the very beginning, if I see somebody that leaves, man, it just breaks my heart. Yeah, I watched that ape sell, and you know, you got to do what you got to do, man. Everybody just has to do, you know, I will never shame anybody for selling.
Yeah.
I just and ape forever, like, you know, I believe that, you know, once an ape, always an ape. So he's still an ape to me, but that one right there, I was like, the next day we were back up to you know, 60 something. Now I felt the same thing when Cross sold his ape. I remember thinking like, oh my God, why'd you sell like now? And I mean, I don't know what he sold at now, but it was probably like, you know, a lot higher than we are, because I think ETH was probably at $3,000 or $4,000. So even if he sold low, like at 80, he was doing quite well. And
I think it was between 80 and 90.
Yeah,
Was
I think
that,
that's what it was.
That was during the Russia thing when it was first spinning up.
It was.
I think.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't it?
Is that what happened?
Maybe.
There was a little bit of FUD going on. He sold into some FUD, which
Mm-hmm.
it was like a good time. It wasn't the perfect time, but there's never like the perfect time. It's hard to time those, but it was good for him. It was a good time for him. I hate watching. So like when I sold my ape on accident, when I sold the OG Gerry, that everybody kind of knew me by, that one was a surprise. First of all, I did not expect that, and he sold, and I was feeling FOMO. It only took 3 days to jump back in, and the floor has only gone down since. I mean, I bought new Gerry for 90, and I'm perfectly happy with that because I love the ape. It's absolutely amazing. But I FOMO'd in, man. I felt like, okay, we're going up. I'm gonna, you know, if we go up at all, I don't want to miss it. And you know, we've pretty much just gone down since. But I like 69. Let's just be honest. Like 69 is a good spot to be. You know, if ETH sits here and for a while, I'm fine with it. I mean, what I'm really looking for is successful ApeCoin, creating some use cases for ApeCoin, working on the ApeCoin DAO with the special counsel, whoever that may be, and trying to add some value there. And I figure the more value we can add to ApeCoin, the more value we're adding to the apes. Yep. And they're directly related. So I feel like other side will add value to the ApeCoin, which is going to in turn add value to the apes. And you know, I think we're going to be just fine. More than fine. I think it's going to be just wonderful. Unless we have like Tether to worry about or something like that. In case, you know, we're all done.
Love it, Gerry. So if somebody wants to reach out to you and ask more questions, where can they find you?
Yeah, so my DMs are open on Twitter at NFT Gerry. You can reach me there. The Discord server that we hang out in on a daily basis, where I'm teaching the classes, which is a lot of the information that we went over in here, but just a little bit more structured. I was able to get through most of it today in about 35 minutes. I'll help anybody like go through from start to finish, but that's in my bio also on Discord. It's in my bio on Twitter. It's in my bio. You can join Surreal Apes, which again, all we do in there, we just chill and talk pretty much every day. We've got a great group of people, bunch of OGs, bunch of just classic apes. Everybody, you guys should be in there, like just hanging out with us and talking and sharing your views every day and just forming like lifelong relationships. And yeah, man. So there you go. See right there. Scroll down a little bit.
Yeah.
Ape for life, baby. Ape for life.
Yeah,
that's
dude. Those
new.
Shorts though. Everybody was talking about how big your calves are, but I was like, those shorts are fire.
That dude, and the thing is, Zungri reached out. He's got the same shorts. If you look in the replies, Zungri's got the exact. Oh wow, holy crap! That's a lot of retweets. I haven't looked at that, but
I like this too, though.
Nobody wants to talk about nobody's talking about.
Oh yeah,
there he is.
Heck yeah.
So
yeah, where'd you get those? I might have to be a copycat.
I think I think Jen got them for me. I'll ask her. You can go look at Jen's tattoo also. She got a dope tattoo. My wife. We both got tattoos in Miami. She's at dgen_art.
At dgen_.
Jen, like
like literally Jen. Like that.
That's it. That's her.
Yeah, we follow each other.
Yeah. So there she.
Oh yeah, I saw this. Yeah, I saw this for sure.
Yeah. So she kind of got that to match her forever. She minted that ape, and that's like her ape. So she wanted to kind of have the colors match. We've talked about it forever, and
right.
So we finally pulled the trigger. So yeah, man, it's that's how you get a hold of me. Just hit me up on Twitter, hit me up on the Discord, jump in. It's pretty chill, man. We just hang out with each other, and if you have any questions for me on anything else, by all means, I encourage everybody to also jump into the apecoin.com, the discourse. Go look at all the different candidates for special counsel. We need some extra participation. There's some really amazing candidates in there that we can vote for, like Leor, of course, from Mutant Cartel. He's fantastic. Board Elon has a lot of great ideas. Board Ape G, my favorite, Young Buddha, Adam Hollander. There's some just really good OGs. Degentraland from Horizon, he's in there. So there's a lot of really great candidates. I encourage everybody to log in and read through their bios too, and just kind of see what they're about, because we desperately need people to start paying more attention to this thing that we're building, because you have the ability to make some decisions. If you've ever played around with like Gitcoin or anything like that, and you see like these different projects that lend value to the Ethereum ecosystem, they can get grants from the to kind of like help them stay afloat and keep going. And that's kind of what we're doing with ApeCoin. It's just that we're just getting going. So, there's all this money. If you've got a great idea and you want to try and like bring it to life, that's what the ApeCoin DAO is about. So we need plenty of good minds, creators, developers, and just passionate people that want to help further the mission of the ecosystem and push us forward and onward. I think that that's a good place to start. It's not pretty. We'll work on prettying it up. But it is civil, and it does get things done. So I encourage anybody that's watching to definitely participate in that.
1000%. It's been something we focused on the last couple shows too, is just reminding people to get in there and even just read a little bit, even if you don't want to write comments yet. At least take a look at some of the information provided, because there is some great information and some great ideas being kind of thrown out into the air and seeing what sticks. So that is the key. Is again, we talk about community, but a lot of this is done by us, the folks that are in the community. Like what can we do to make a better ecosystem at the end of the day? So, Gerry, dude, it's been a pleasure. Honestly, like this went really fast, and we talked for almost 2 hours. So obviously, if you've got more questions, hit up Gerry, hit up Will or Bryce, or hit up the Board TV Twitter feed. We'll do our best to absolutely direct you in the right direction. And get in the Discord, Board Ape Discord too. Come and vibe. Say hi to all the amazing people that have been there for so long. And just do your own research, of course. Max stake. I'm just kidding. That's not financial advice. I'm going to max stake.
Max stake.
That's what I'm going to do. But you do you, boo-boo. Any last thoughts, Bryce, Will, or Mr. Gerry?
You can do it. Yeah.
Wow, dude. That's fucking
dude,
straight, bro.
If you're scared to interact with the smart contract, I swear you can do it.
Yes, absolutely. Sir.
Yeah. You have us. You have resources. Apes Together Strong. That's literally like what we're all about. All of this is literally Apes Together Strong. There are people that help you. Good people. We will help. Like Will, you and Bryce, man, you guys wrote a really great guide. We need to amend. And I literally took down my YouTube video. I've got to completely change it. So I appreciate you guys having me on. You can, I'll come hang out with you guys anytime. It's been an absolutely really long day. I'm usually a little more coherent. I've been going since about 4:30 this morning. I am absolutely ready to hit this immediately.
There you go, dude.
But it was really lovely talking to you guys and meeting you guys face to face.
Love it, dude. Again, appreciate it on this special edition with Ape Staking with Board TV and Gerry. That's all we got this week. Hit us up, ask questions. Be apes together, baby. Board TV, we out.
Peace.